John Gilstrap, as a New York Times bestselling author. John Gilstrap.
Good morning.
Via telephone, David Valente in the Joe Ferretti seat. David?
Good morning. I'm bright-tailed and bushy-eyed.
That's that Italian blood.
Marinara.
I probably don't need to tell you John Doyle is here. John? And Mike Carl.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. And no show next Thursday. It's the 4th of July. We'll have a 4th of July special that we will be airing from CBS Network from 8 until just about 11, and then Nationals baseball, the special 4th of July ball game for them. And then we'll be off on Friday, which will include a full airing of that CBS 4th of July special that we can't complete Thursday because of the Nationals game. That's for next week. We will be in on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And I should point this out because I don't think I have mentioned this at all since we've started doing it, and that is that this show is replayed in its entirety each weekday now, Monday through Friday, between 4 and 6 on AM 740 and FM 106.5. So twice Bill Stubblefield, twice the John Gilstrap.
How fortunate people are.
So
John doesn't agree with that statement.
I'm just trying to think of something to say. I got nothing.
If you missed it the first time, you can catch it the second time around. We'll be doing this for the foreseeable future, too. So, and, of course, there's always been the TV replays when they're not preempted by a game. So that's still the same on TV 10. And as always, in addition, any time along the way, the full show is archived on Facebook, and the individual segments are archived on YouTube under our TV10, WNR TV10 Martinsburg YouTube page. You can catch each individual segment of the show that's carved up and put on there by our producers, who typically are Colin and Dylan. Gentlemen, I trust that you all partook in the debate a little bit last night in viewing.
Yes.
We did.
All right. Well,
I stayed up.
Sadly.
You are ready to talk, so hold on
And
first.
we go a little something like this. Hit it.
I was up late last night, too, so it's an abbreviated intro to the show today. Up until last night when I was putting together my week in review, the biggest story of the week was in regards to a canine, and I'm not kidding you. Painting the governor's pet into a mural offended some... Was that Hillary? Painting the governor's pet into a mural offended some's taste, and it's not even because Big Jim failed to pick up baby dog's waste. But all that nonsense about that aside, last night was the debate over who should preside. I admit to staying up late and taking it in. I just wish somebody had woken up Biden and told him it was time to begin. Prior to last night, the worst debate egg I'd seen laid happened when Admiral Stockdale failed to remember to turn on his hearing aid. You remember that moment between Dan Quayle and Al Gore with Ross Perot's running mate about to commit an epic fail? But that was for vice president, and for that office, who really cares? What we really want to see is the competence of the person on the ticket each shares. With no studio audience to disrupt with applause, and a mute button to kill mics to prevent unwanted flapping of jaws, the setup was perfect for Joe Biden to have a decent chance. But after last night, you might want to leave the date who brung you to this dance. After seeing that drubbing of Biden last night, it left me thinking, the last time I saw anything beaten this badly on TV, Sarah McLachlan was singing. Now, if you don't, some of you may or may not get that.
Wow.
I didn't.
If you've ever been watching some TV shows where they don't actually have commercial content, they'll put on these 2 or 3 minute commercials / documentaries, and one of them was always about the mistreatment of pets, dogs, cats, and they show these poor little doggies and cats who've been neglected in a field or in a cage, and behind that is Sarah McLachlan singing a very sad song.
Oh.
So that's to do with abused animals. This was kind of the Joe Biden thing last night. Mr. Valente got it, and I appreciated your laugh.
Yes.
You fulfilled your duties as Joe Ferretti's telephone laugh quite
There
well
we
on
go.
that one. And for that, you get the honor of hitting leadoff, Mr. Valente. Go right ahead.
All right. So let's just address the the biggest elephant in the room off of last night's debate. I will say that each party, both parties will tell us that this is the most important election of our lifetimes. Every election they tell us this. They both seem to not give us competent candidates to run. However, last night was particularly bad for the Democratic candidate, Joe Biden. Came out very weakly, very halting speech. Even when he was making some okay points, his delivery was just not there. And it was bad from the start. He got okay in the middle of it. And then his closing argument was just horrid. So the benefit of this debate being so early is that it's before the convention, and there's still 4 months until the election. A lifetime of things can happen between now and then. Does this increase the chance of a brokered convention for the Democrats? And I didn't put this as a question last night, but if you believe that there's a brokered convention for the Democrats, who are your likely nominees for president? When I close, I will tell you who I think are going to be the likely nominees.
Fair enough. I'm going to start with Bill Stubblefield because Bill's been talking about this for a little while.
Yeah. I think the debate last night was disastrous, but I would say probably the winner of all that were the Democrats, because what it did, it's forcing folks to take a hard look at two candidates that we do not like. 80% of the country do not like either one. Biden's performance was much, much poorer than what they thought it would be. Trump was Trump. Either you like him or you don't. If you don't like him, is reinforced a dozen times during the performance. If the Democrats decide to take action, it's my understanding there are three courses of action that could pursue. One is Biden proceeds as a candidate. Everything would go through the convention unless Biden steps down. That's probably what will happen. The second one is if Biden steps down, resigns the presidency, and Kamala Harris takes over, and that means she would be going into the convention as presumption favorite. The only problem with that is that she is one of the most unpopular people in elected office. She's a lot less popular than what Biden is. The third one, the one that a lot of people are kind of gravitating or thinking some attraction to, is that it would be a brokered convention, but unlike what most folks think, the convention can start any time. The DNC can actually start polling the next few days if they choose to. It does not have to wait until the actual convention in Chicago. DNC, but Biden's going to be the lead on this. If Biden steps down, if he doesn't step down, it's going to be business as usual. But if they can convince him to step down, then I think the DNC is going to start much earlier for broken convention. I'm going to give you my list. Unlike Mike Carl, who's told me many times there's no other candidates that are suitable, there's a list of a bunch of good candidates. We all think about Vice President Harris, Secretary Buttigieg, Calvin Newsom, Whitmer, and the like. Those are the ones that. So I murdered the name. Sorry about that, Rob. Okay.
It started when you called Kamala Harris Camillary.
Well, Kamala. Okay.
Gretna.
Okay. Well. Okay.
We got you.
Let me go. Let me go with the names. I have never been. I've been known to murder
Sorry.
names, and I'll continue to do so. But there's a lot of other names. Thank you, John. If I can finish this, John, I'd appreciate it. Can I?
Go ahead. Do it. Bill.
Okay.
Go.
Governor Andy Richard, Kentucky. Governor of Illinois, Governor of Pennsylvania, and Governor of Colorado. All very well, very respected individuals.
Mr. Carl.
Well, first of all, let me say that the varied reactions to last night's debate, has to do with your expectations going in, and my expectations of Biden, he did quite well compared to what I expected. And, of course, it's just the opposite with most of his supporters. And it's stunning to me that they had higher expectations than we saw. But that just shows the disparity in points of view, I guess. But the idea of all these people that Bill just named, I'd love for Trump to run against any one of them. I would have zero fear of loss of the election against any one of them, and it's only if Trump starts to have problems. And I thought Trump, compared to what we know he's capable of and has done in the past, I thought he handled himself pretty well. So I think he's in a very strong position. And once again, as Bill acknowledged, what I've been saying for a long time, they didn't have anybody else in 20, and they don't have anybody else today.
Mr. Doyle.
A couple of points. We do need to wait and see what happens in the actual polls. Now, the debate last night was a disaster for Joe Biden. But sometimes this doesn't show up. When you're week 10 days later, you run polls, you might see very little movement at all. I think there will be some movement, but I'm accepting the fact that I could be wrong about that. It may be that that most of the undecided voters weren't paying attention, didn't listen to the debate. There aren't that many undecided voters to begin with, and my guess is an even smaller percentage of the people who watched the debate last night were undecided voters. So we'll see. But let's say that happens. I think the Admiral is wrong about his number two. If Biden should resign the presidency, and I don't think that would happen, Vice President Harris does not inherit his delegates at the convention. Those delegates are, by party rules, pledged to Joe Biden and nobody else. And unless the convention would change the rules, those people can't leave Biden unless he allows them to. So I do think you're not going to see any change unless some of Joe Biden's close friends can persuade him that it's too much of an uphill fight and he needs to abandon it. Now, should that occur, please no Gavin Newsom. Please no. I do think Gretchen Whitmer would be an excellent candidate. I also think Mike Kelly from Arizona, the senator from Arizona who was the astronaut, would be an excellent choice. I think Roy Cooper, the governor of North Carolina, would be an excellent choice. And I think Amy Klobuchar, the senator from Minnesota. Those would be my four very strong favorites if we get a new one. And so at any rate, and I think should Biden pull out, Vice President Harris would not be the odds-on favorite. I think she'd be just in the middle of the pack with a number of other people. And it wouldn't really be a brokered convention. It would be an old-fashioned let the delegates vote. Like the last time that happened was in 1956 when the nominee, Adlai Stevenson, rather than pick a vice president, allowed the convention to choose between Jack Kennedy and Estes Kefauver, and by a very slim margin chose Kefauver. And I think that might excite the American people if something like that happened.
Mr. Gilstrap.
Well, I think that'd be to have a convention that actually meant something would be a very exciting time in politics. I don't see Joe Biden giving up the nomination for the presidency. He's worked too long, too hard for it. I think he's delusional enough. That's an unkind word. I think he is unself-aware of his frailties. If you saw I think they call it a watch party afterwards, where I don't know what the venue was, had a big blue wall in the background, and Dr. Jill was on a hot mic, and Joe, you did a great job. You had all the answers right, and people are yelling, and he's waving, and he said, "We did a really good job." I think he thinks he did a good job, and the spin doctors at the White House are going to say that what we heard and what we saw was all wrong. I think he's going to buy into it. So I think that he's going to march all the way to the convention, and I think he's going to get the nomination. I think that's disastrous for Democrats if that's what it comes to, and that will mean that Trump gets the election. If it goes some other way, I don't know who their bench is. Certainly not Gavin Newsom. I personally hate Whitmer. All the COVID stuff that you went through. That's just my opinion on things. I can't pull up a Democratic candidate that I think would replace. Certainly not. I hope they don't go to Hillary Clinton and Michelle Obama. Those celebrity names that are coming up. But we'll see. I think this last night is truly a disaster for the Democratic Party in this election cycle. And I actually feel for those who, if you really believe that Trump is an existential threat, that was a very frightening night for Democrats last night.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, if I could respond to John Gilstrap, I don't think you need to worry about Michelle Obama or Hillary Clinton or anybody like that. I do think that if this happens, they would go for someone younger.
God, I hope so.
Oh yeah. But because the delegates would know. The biggest problem is that, as Bill mentioned, the country doesn't like either one of these two. And in fact, if you look, I think on substance, if you take away Biden's stammer, which was much more in evidence last night than I've heard him recently in previous public appearances, if you take away that and his halting and his voice, he sounded like he had laryngitis. Put all that together, it was all a disaster. But I think on substance, he did fine. And oh yeah, and in terms of Trump, I have never in my life heard so many tangents and dangling participles in 90 minutes.
There would not an orator up there.
Tangents and dangling participles would be a great name for a band, by the way. Mr. Valente, you still there?
Yeah.
You said you had your own list.
Yeah, my own list. Some of the names have been mentioned. Jared, to me, I like the idea of a Jared Polis out of Colorado, moderate governor. Roy Cooper would be fine. Gretchen Whitmer, yes, she has the COVID stuff, but I think it would be better. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Hillary Clinton. She had health issues in 2016 that allays no fears about what's going on with our geriatric politicians. So this will definitely be a younger choice if the Democrats do it. And while the delegates are committed to Joe Biden, there could be a delegate revolt where they abstain in the first round and deny the nomination to Joe Biden if they so choose. So I do think that what happened last night will have negative poll consequences. It's not going to be a huge one because there are people who are just going to choose Biden because they're afraid of Trump, and there are people that are going to choose. Well, nothing changed on the Trump side, but there has to be some movement here. There has the leaders of the Democratic Party, whether it's within Congress or within the party structure itself, has to have a real legitimate talk with Biden and lay it out that if he continues on this path, pushing him as the candidate, he jeopardizes not only the White House, but he jeopardizes the House and the Senate, and turning off every branch of the United States government to Donald Trump would be an absolute existential threat to the democracy of the United States. So he needs to for the good of the country, step aside. Whether he does it, I know sometimes people with memory issues are very much more obstinate when they're presented with things like this. Telling my grandpa that he couldn't drive was an ordeal. So whether he takes that or not, I don't know. But this is a conversation that definitely the Democratic Party needs to have with their potential nominee at this point.
John had his finger up first, and he is Mr. Democrat in the room.
Well, 2 quick points. I would include Jared Polis in my list too. I forgot him. Secondly, I think if we see movement, it would be from Biden to third-party candidates.
Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead, Michael.
If it's Newsom, though, I think what we'll see is a lot more of a debate on the substance of policy and not so much personality. And I think that would be healthy.
There are some comments in our Facebook section that said that the policy, if you listened to it last night, was outshined by the optics. In other words, that some of the policy that was discussed by Biden was actually coherent, good policy. I didn't catch a lot of that. I thought Biden had a horrid first half hour. I thought in the middle half hour he seemed to get his legs under him a little bit, and he seemed to be coming alive somewhat. But there was, going into this debate, a strategy that was being discussed, that Biden was hoping to get under Trump's skin to try to get, it was like a rope-a-dope, right? He was going to be throwing shots all over the place, and that Trump was trying, his strategy was to lay low and not respond to it. Then Biden, at a couple of moments, reverted to, you're a child. And I thought at that point that Biden really was desperate because he wasn't doing well, and he was trying to get Trump to unravel by just overtly calling him a child. And then, in the oddest thing I've ever seen in a presidential debate, including everything that preceded it, the two of them got into an argument about their golf handicap and who could outdrive whom.
And their weight, height and weight.
Right?
Lord.
And I, while watching that, I began getting texts. Some of these texts were from Trump supporters, and some were from Biden supporters stating, I can't believe these are the two people that we have running for president. In a presidential debate, we actually had a golf handicap argument break out.
Yeah. I had another theory about Biden's performance just now. I think he may have been overprepared. This happened to Al Gore in 2000 in his debates against George W. Bush. There is such a thing as being overprepared. When you throw so much information into somebody's head and so many different possibilities of opportunities, if this occurs, that you go on information overload. I think that may have happened.
He was overcoached.
I have a completely opposite impression, and it has to do with the difference of expectations. But I thought Biden was relatively competent appearing in terms of presentation, but he lied and he was dead wrong on many, many policy matters.
Not near as much as Trump was.
Well, the strategy, I think, came out to, I am better than Trump. That was the whole strategy, was to get under Trump's skin. I think you're right. And to, he's bad. He's a criminal. He's bad. He's got the morals of an alley cat, or whatever that line was. That was the whole strategy. And it never landed, because I thought Trump showed remarkable restraint. He turned red, but he showed remarkable restraint.
Actually, some maturity there.
Yeah.
He actually did, and I think it was at least in part due to the fact that there was no audience.
No audience and muted microphones, right? And that's spelled M-U-T-E-D.
Not muted microphones. Not muted microphones.
The muted microphones were not a moot point.
Oh, no, for those two, the microphones may as well have been moot.
There you go.
David, good job with the leadoff hitter. Appreciate it. Nicely done. Mr. Stubblefield, you were on the clock. And this segment of our show today brought to you in part by the Manchin Ferretti Law Firm in downtown Martinsburg, where it's about seeking justice for you. Get more with Manchin Ferretti, also by the Berkeley County Health Department's Quick Response Team. This is Talk Radio, WNR Martinsburg, and TV 10. If you or someone you know suffers from the disease of addiction, help is available from the Berkeley County Quick Response Team, with peer recovery coaches and support promptly to the homes of those who've recently experienced an overdose. This collective effort towards recovery brings resources and services to the community, including naloxone and treatment options. Call 304-267-1313 or visit the Berkeley County Recovery Resource Center at 800 Emmett Rouse Drive, Martinsburg. The Berkeley County Quick Response Team is funded through a DHHR grant with the Berkeley Morgan County Health Department.
Providing reliable protection since 1877, we are Farmers Mechanic Insurance Companies. For over a century, we have been dedicated to provide dependable insurance protection and excellent customer service. We specialize in auto, home, farm, and business insurance. Our products are backed with personal, hands-on service. You can trust us to protect what matters most to you. For all of your insurance needs, there's Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies.
Mommy, where does flavor come from?
Well, when people love food, they cook it on a Traeger grill. Meat, corn, even pie. And then the Traeger does the rest, which brings everyone to celebrate this beautiful thing that they've created. Because when you share delicious food with your friends, that's the flavor of life.
Shop now and save at Orsini's today.
Mom, I hit your car with a softball.
Did you throw it or hit it off the tee?
Off the tee.
Whoa, good hit, kid. Good thing we know Cody from Cody's Auto Body. I'll text him now.
Oh, Kenna, I heard you hit your mom's window with a softball. Good hit. Keeps me in business. We can get you in lickety-split, no
Hey, that's a bad word.
Shut up, kid. We won't drop the ball on your car. Every repair's a grand slam. Bring your car to Cody's Auto Body. As always, it's Cody's with a T for trust.
Hey, you can't say that.
I do.
We got double the Rock's gas rewards, 6 cents off a gallon.
Can't believe you didn't fill up.
That's double my rent. Not my car.
Save now with double the gas discount. 6 cents off a gallon with Rock's Rewards.
We got double the Rock's gas rewards, 6 cents off a gallon.
You had one job.
It's between girls.
Save now with double the gas discount. 6 cents off a gallon with Rock's Rewards.
Welcome back to Golden Asian Buffet. I'm Ryan, and I'm so excited to show you our massive buffet with over 150 incredible fresh items. Food lovers, you're gonna love this buffet with over 150 items with everything from appetizers all the way down to desserts. This buffet is massive. For family, friends, and foodies alike, you are gonna love this place. Appetizers all the way down to desserts, meats, seafoods, and much, much more. Come on down here to Golden Asian Buffet and check out their incredible buffet.
Panhandle Printing and Design is your full-service local print shop.
With over 50 years of combined experience, we know how to handle all of your printing and design needs.
We can handle anything, from small business cards to wrapping large vehicles. Our in-house design team can do it all. As a staple of this community, we love helping people promote their events, businesses, and anything they're passionate about. Envision, create, and bring your ideas to life with Panhandle Printing and Design.
I do.
We got double the Rock's gas rewards, 6 cents off a gallon.
Can't believe you didn't fill up.
That's double my rent. Not my car.
Save now with double the gas discount. 6 cents off a gallon with Rock's Rewards.
We got double the Rock's gas rewards, 6 cents off a gallon.
You had one job.
It's between girls.
Save now with double the gas discount. 6 cents off a gallon with Rock's Rewards.
The future doesn't wait. Why should you? Blue Ridge Community and Technical College offers over 60 degree and certificate programs in education, IT, culinary arts, engineering, and so much more. Small class sizes, flexible schedules with evening and online classes, affordable tuition, plus financial aid is available to those who qualify. Now you can go to college. Visit us online at blueridgectc.edu. That's Blue Ridge, ctc.edu. Stop waiting and enroll today.
The Skinner family has been representing West Virginians for more than 50 years. We've changed the name of our firm to Skinner Accident and Injury Lawyers because we want to be clear about what we do. We represent people who have been in car, truck, and other catastrophic accidents. We're here to be a voice for the injured and vulnerable, and we take that job seriously with deep commitment to serving our clients wherever they are. Just Google Skinner Accident Lawyer or visit skinnerwins.com. We'll treat you like family.
Welcome to CMA's Honda of Winchester, where you can drive an award-winning lineup of new and certified pre-owned Hondas, Accords, Civics, CRVs, HRVs, and more at CMA's Honda of Winchester. Owners just care more. Welcome to CMA's Honda of Winchester, where you can drive an award-winning lineup of new and certified pre-owned Hondas, Accords, Civics, CRVs, HRVs, and more at CMA's Honda of Winchester. Owners just care more.
The Sports Mix is your place in the Eastern Panhandle for national sports through a local lens.
We're now joined by the voice of the Washington Wizards, Dave Johnson. Dave, how are you today?
This might be a first for me. I'm actually doing an interview from the tarmac at Dulles Airport. We're getting ready to fly to Detroit.
Co-hosts Dylan Bishop, Nick Verzolini, and Colin McLaughlin break things down weekdays from noon to 1 and re-aired from 5 to 6, right here on Talk Radio WRNR, TV 10, and the TV 10 Facebook page.
This segment of our show today brought to you in part by CMA Honda, also by the Skinner Accident and Injury Attorneys. If you've been harmed, contact the Skinner Accident and Injury Attorneys. They'll use all their resources to get you what you deserve. Find out more at SkinnerWins.com. In studio with our crew on the phone in the Joe Ferretti telephone chair, it's David Valente. Davey, welcome back.
Good morning.
Appreciate your use of the word marinara earlier this morning. I've been starving since. And fantasizing about mozzarella sticks ever since that moment. Also, here in studio, Michael Carl.
Good morning, everybody.
He is the most tenured member of the Friday crew.
Yeah, go back to 01 or earlier than 01, actually.
Yeah, you're actually vested in the Friday crew 401k plan by now, so good job.
Oh, yeah. All the contributions have gone in. I feel very comfortable.
Appreciate your slow, steady investing pace. It's paid off handsomely, sir. Also, New York Times bestselling author John Gilstrap, who doesn't need an investing pace because there's just an endless amount of money being shoveled to this guy every single day.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's selling book deals, movie rights, scripts, and I think I saw him doing lemonade beside his house the other day.
Good morning.
As well. Mr. John Doyle.
Good morning.
Great to have you with us again.
It is great to be here.
And with issue number 2. The Admiral, two-star Billy Stubblefield.
I'm going to follow up on what David Valente started this with, the debate, but I'm going to do it from a different perspective, and that was the format. As we know, following the 2020 debate, where it was totally got out of hand, the format changed. There was no live audience. The mics were turned off, so you could not overtalk your opponent. There was no notes allowed. You only had a cup of water and a pen, blank paper. So there's quite a radical change in format. My question is, did it work? Was it a more successful debate? What were the positives? What were the negatives to this new format?
Mr. Valente, you go first.
I think this debate format actually hurt Biden in that, I think if the mic had been live, Trump would have not resisted the urge to overtalk Biden, even though he knows that it would have hurt him doing so. It's fine. I have some ideas on debate reform that I would love to see. Like, I think each candidate should be given a professional wrestler, and they have to debate in that speaking style, and the moderator takes on the Mean Gene Okerlund.
Oh, he was
role.
He was legendary.
Yeah, and then shot collars. So if you start going over time, you just kind of turn up the juice a little bit each second they go over, and it's how much do you want to talk? How much do you want to overtalk? And you're going to pay a price for it. So I think that would be great. And I think each candidate should have the ability to send a shock to one of their opponents during the debate as they deem necessary, knowing that their opponents can do the same. So, but no, the format was kind of stale. It made the debate seem a whole lot longer, which I guess is okay if both guys were really super policy focused and coherent. And but it just I looked at, because we were doing the live stream last night of reacting to the debate, and looked, and it felt like it had been going for an hour and a half already, and we were only a half hour into it. So I don't know if you have some coherent policy driven candidates, the hour and a half may be fine with that format. But when it comes to guys that are not having their best day mentally, that really seemed like a long debate.
If you edited out the pauses for Biden, it was only 17 minutes, actually, in that first half hour.
Like football.
Yes. Mr. Doyle?
I like the format. I do think they keep it for future debates, not only in this election, but in future elections. One thing, I was confused, and maybe it's because it was erroneously reported. I had thought the format was going to be for each question. Each candidate had 2 minutes, and then a 1 minute rebuttal, and then an automatic 1 minute response to the rebuttal. It seemed like to me they didn't always allow that. There were times when it seemed like to me that they were having each candidate have the 2 minutes and then would go to a follow-up question rather than having the 1 minute rebuttal. So maybe it was misreported as to what the format was. I do think the format worked.
You know, you bring up a point that I had forgotten that I wanted to talk about, John. That's a very good note, which is that in many cases last night, the question for the candidate was never addressed because they used their time to rebut what their opponent said instead of answering the question.
Right.
And had they had the minute for rebuttal, we'd have gotten cleaner answers on the actual questions.
I think that's right.
Right? Mr. Gilstrap, yeah. Oh, you already went? Did you already go?
No.
All right, you go.
Okay. I think you're right. I think they lost track of that because, and for that very reason, the rebuttals needed to happen. You can't just let that insult or whatever hang out there. I thought overall the format worked. I like not having the cheering sections, which are really just staffers that are trying to make the most noise in the background. What didn't work for me so much was the absence of notes, because there's a lot of statistics and such to remember if you're going to have a really adequate presentation of a point. So even if there could have been that jacket pocket kind of detail, there was an imprecision or an impreciseness to the details that on both parts, where they would talk about the thing that happened, or we have all of the judges and all this. The inability to reference some kind of facts, I think, led to kind of mushy discussion of details, which I had a problem with. I thought the moderators overall were very fair. The only part I was talking to Bill about this before the show, the only part where I thought they had their thumb on the scale a little bit was one time where President Biden he vapor locked and got lost, and rather than letting it run out for that extra 30 seconds of time, they just said, "Thank you, Mr. President," and moved on, which was kind, I thought, rather than just watching him stare blankly. On the other hand, when President Trump would avoid a question and still have 42 seconds left, they would say, "You still have 42 seconds left," and the question was such and such. I don't have a problem with that at all.
I thought they did that to both candidates.
I guess they did. I guess they did. I would also cheat the lecterns. Rather than having both of them face straight out, maybe this is part of what was negotiated beforehand, I would actually have them looking somewhat at each other, like 45 degrees, so that instead of being shoulder to shoulder looking straight out, I would make them face each other at least a little bit, just because it is kind of a gladiator fight here. Although
adversarial, and without a studio audience, there really is no reason to face forward flush.
Right.
You could be angled.
Right. And I like the idea of muting the microphones. Why not? Your time's up, your time's up. And what they didn't do was, which was my fear, your time is up, but they did allow for that extra 5 seconds or so to finish the sentence. Mm-hmm. I was afraid they were going to be draconian, just cut it off. They didn't. I thought it was overall very fair, and it worked.
See, I get a lot of criticism for this, but I think I started a trend with the muted microphone.
So we have not heard a thing you've said, John.
I have been muting microphones for a long time here, and no one ever says anything good about that. Mr. Carl.
Well, I basically agree with all the comments up to now, and I think the revised format was a big improvement over the past, and I think it really helped Trump. It contained him and kept him from doing a lot of wild stuff that he has done.
That's a great point.
And I think it really helped Trump.
There were a couple times when you saw Trump talk in response to something Biden said, but the microphone was muted. One time they did bring it up to get his point on the mic. It may have been his time to talk, but a couple times. But otherwise, the first half hour, I was surprised at how well he was controlling his emotions.
Yeah.
honestly. I mean, he acted, I thought, from the projection that I could see, quite presidential, because Biden would say things. Biden was intentionally trying to provoke him to get under his skin. He wasn't taking the bait. He wasn't responding. And then when he would talk, he would go to his point instead of spending a bunch of time trashing Biden. He came around to that eventually, but that's not the way he started. And I thought to myself, that's actually pretty good.
Biden actually overtalked during Trump stuff.
Agreed.
More than Trump tried to overtalk.
I like the way Trump handled he only lobbed it one time, the felonies, 34 felonies.
Mm-hmm.
And Trump just took it with kind of a smile and,
Yeah. Kind of shrugged it off.
Yep.
That was, I think that was early on.
It was early on.
Tight.
And I'm sure it was practiced. He was ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
And Biden never doubled down on that, which kind of surprised me, actually.
I don't know I would think that it was the Biden camp's decision to want the muted mic as part of the campaign negotiations that went back and forth as to how this was going to go forward. But I really thought that worked against Biden. And, you remember the first debate when people said Trump kept talking over Biden and kept going at him, and it worked against him because he should have been letting Biden ramble on. People could have seen that Biden wasn't all there.
Yeah.
The muted mic in this particular case was Biden's worst friend, because had he let Trump interrupt it, it might have stopped him from vapor locking, I think is the way John pointed out a couple times.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I thought the structure made for a much more efficient debate. I think it would have been better if it had been a more issue-driven debate than what this one was. So I think there was a lot of advantages. The disadvantage that I saw, it eliminated the opportunity for these back-and-forth quips that have gone down in our memory, such as Reagan said, "I'll not hold your age against you." Another one said, "You're no Reagan." And there's 3 or 4 or 5 of those that were spontaneous that we'll remember forever and ever. This format does not allow or does not really encourage that sort of off the cuff or off the cuff.
Did you like not having a studio audience?
Yeah, I did very much, because I go into debates looking for substance, looking for the issues driven, and if they're playing to a studio audience, they tend to get away. They're performing on stage as opposed to addressing the issues. So I thought that was a strength of the format.
It does take some of the electricity out of the debate.
It does. Yep.
But I did enjoy not having a studio audience. It made it easier for, I think, the moderators too, to try to keep everybody, that and the muted mics, to keep everybody in their lane.
And the moderators, I thought, were on top of the issue. They had bought in fact, they may have developed the format, but they were in total control of the debate, unlike what we saw in 2020, where it was the moderator became kind of a
Chris Wallace.
Chris Wallace became a after the thought individual, because he did not have any control at all.
Nor could he with the microphone situation the way it was at that time.
That's the muted mic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that they can keep control.
It just goes to show the power of this button right here.
Yeah.
Second most powerful button in the world.
For the ones that are new to the show, you'll find that Rob tends to mute 1 or 2 of us,
or all of us.
All of us.
Yeah. All right. On to issue number 3, and for that we move on to Mr. Gilstrap in the height chair.
All right. Before moving on to my issue, the one thing I want to say about the format of the debate and the way it played out. See, I'm doing what Trump did before I move on. What really came out, I think, in that debate is how much they deeply dislike each other, and how neither has any respect whatsoever in the other, which I actually found uncomfortable.
Is this the first debate we've had where they did not shake hands as they walked out?
Did they shake hands in 20?
I'm not sure they did. I'm not sure Hillary.
Oh, I thought they did. I believe they did. Yeah.
Did Hillary and Trump
they
shake hands in 16?
Awkwardly.
Yeah, I think that it was awkwardly, but I think they have in every case. We can go back to confirm that. But
I know that Hillary and Trump shook hands. Yeah. I don't remember about Biden and Trump 4 years ago.
I don't know.
Because there's some reference to the fact that Biden shook hands with him previous, but would not do it this time. So,
yeah. Okay, moving on. I'm going to shift gears, actually, a little bit. The prosecutor in the Mar-a-Lago investigation, Jack Smith, is that, do I have that right? Okay, he is now asking for a gag order against Trump. This is in addition to the gag orders in the New York cases, and everybody wants to have a gag order against Trump. Merrick Garland came out, it had an op-ed piece in the Washington Post 2 weeks ago, I think, talking about the irresponsible rhetoric from the Republican Party is endangering the federal officers because of it's calling attention, it's making the MAGA Republicans angry against law enforcement officers and putting them in danger. And in the case of the Jack Smith gag order, the justification is that the president is telling his people during his speeches that the search warrant authorized the use of deadly force while searching for these documents. Well, the search warrant authorized the use of deadly force. It's there. It's written in. Now, it's boilerplate language. It's not an authorization to assassinate the president. It's not, go in guns blazing. But it is. It's a boilerplate warrant, and it says that it authorizes the use of deadly force. It's not a boilerplate warrant, however, because you're searching the residence of the President of the United States that happens to be occupied with a bajillion Secret Service agents, right, that are already there. So my question is to the panel: this flurry of gag orders, the request for gag orders, and in fact, in some of the ones that are granted, do we have oversensitive law enforcement people? And is it really kind of an extension of trying to silence a presidential candidate to make it so that he can't talk? He has to be so concerned about things he says to his audience that he really can't speak openly and honestly, and constantly opening himself up for yet another criminal prosecution. And as we talk about this, let's also think about the optics. That, as I've said before, this is all government is perception, and if we perceive that the enforcement of the law is tilted against one side versus another, that's a bad thing. So, is this a problem?
John, go right ahead.
I think you have two separate questions there. First of all, that boilerplate language was also in effect when they searched Biden's home in Delaware.
Yeah.
And when they searched Mike Pence's office or whatever they searched of his. So yeah.
And when Berkeley Sheriff's Office searched someplace yesterday.
It's there for the protection of the officers who are doing the search. So for that reason, I think it should stay there for the protection of the officers. And whenever anyone, Donald Trump or anybody else, tries to say they were going to assassinate me, I think there should be a huge, oh, come on now. Now, in terms of the gag order, I think no one who is being tried should be allowed to try to publicly criticize witnesses and jurors and court staff and law enforcement officers. That is different. If you're running for president, fine, talk about the issues. You can talk about the issues. I don't see anything in the gag order that it was given Trump in New York that prevented him from talking about the issues when he's running for president. It just wasn't there. So my answer, I guess, to both of your questions is no.
Mr. Carl, you are the attorney in the room.
Well, gag orders are kind of a shaky concept given the First Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure, precisely what the standard is for judicial discretion in issuing them. But when you put it in the context of a national political, race and debate and campaign, I think the gag orders need to be very much restrained. The judge would have been far better off to make the point that you guys have made and that is that this is standard language. It's there anyway. It's inherent, in fact. That's why the law enforcement officers are armed. So it and to push back on the merits, or the contention that they were there to murder, his people and everything. I think that would have been a lot better way to respond than just a gag order, and the same thing in the New York case.
Yeah, the tenets of our Constitution, of our country, everybody should be treated fairly. And I think in times past, the gag order has been basically a non-issue. If there's been imposed, it's been enforced and nothing made out of it. We have an individual now, Donald Trump, that chooses to use instruments such as the gag order to his advantage. He pushes the envelope like it's never been pushed before. We've come up to this point that Mike Carl's alluded to, the First Amendment, and then the law and order aspect. And historically, that distinction has been fairly clear. With Donald Trump, that there's very little, the distinction is hard to determine what it is. I think Trump is using this intentionally. I think he's using it intentionally as a political tool, and he is very skilled and very adept about using it as a political tool. So the definition of when should the gag order be really imposed with Donald Trump, it becomes very, very, very muddy.
Mr. Gilstrap, did we go to Mr. Valente?
We did not.
Yeah, go ahead, David. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. So how far have the Republicans fallen from the whole back the blue, no matter who stance that they had a couple of years ago? When it comes to Donald Trump, they absolutely question all law enforcement when it comes to their guy. The gag order is we don't see it all the time, but it's remember, we're dealing with Trump here, and he's used the bully pulpit to actually bully. And whether it's witnesses, the judges, the family of the judge, he's earned these gag orders. Do I think that they're impacting his ability to campaign? No, absolutely not. I mean, if you want to talk about the issues, talk about the issues. If you want to talk about your court case, which I'm sure every lawyer in the country will tell you, don't talk about your court case when you're not in court. That's not a good idea. There, put yourself in more legal harm to have stuff brought in from the outside when you talk about this stuff. But he's got the ability to campaign on the issues, the substance of what's going on in the country. There's nothing in the gag order that prevents that. And I agree, boilerplate language, it really doesn't even need to be there because, if you go and act a fool during a raid and the police come in there and you say the Secret Service pulls a gun, there could have been a shootout, absolutely, but it's justified because there was a legal warrant for them to be in that house. So, but it's again, anytime the police come in and interact with you, there is the chance that you can have a bad confrontation with the police. So just understand that, and perhaps not commit as many crimes so you don't get the police at your door as president. So, but yeah, it's the whole thing about gag orders is that it pertains to the case at hand and not to the campaign, and that he should, I'm sure the advice of many lawyers, not be talking about the facts of his case or the personalities involved in his case while he does it. I think they realized during the first trial that the much better strategy is to fly surrogates in and do it for him. They can still do it. It's just it doesn't have to be him. And he had plenty of sycophants come up to New York City and do that during the last couple weeks of that trial.
David, thank you. And Mr. Gilstrap, you have exactly 50 seconds to wrap it up and put a bow on
it. I think lawyers must hate having him as a client, right? Because he'll go in and insult anybody. I think he has every right to call his judge a lying dog-faced pony soldier if he wants to, right? I don't see anything wrong with that. I think the gag orders are fundamentally violations of his right to free speech. I think what happens is the government gets caught in the act of doing something that embarrasses them, and they want to shut him up from saying anything about it.
And on that note, we break and return with Mr. Doyle on the clock. And this segment of the show today brought to you by Orsini's Home Store, not just an appliance store any longer, at 360 Hack Wilson Way, Martinsburg. More to come.
Over there, telling me I got to beware.
Have you been smoking? I can smell it. Hickory.
I'm gonna watch you smoke the whole pack. Shop now and save at Orsini's today.
Have you been smoking? I can smell it. Hickory.
I'm gonna watch you smoke the whole pack. Shop now and save at Orsini's today.
Tomorrow's success begins with today's preparation. Give your child a pathway to flourish and thrive with a well-rounded education. Enrollment is now open at the Classical Christian Academy in Martinsburg. Visit tcca.life/information. Tomorrow's success begins with today's preparation. Give your child a pathway to flourish and thrive with a well-rounded education. Enrollment is now open at the Classical Christian Academy in Martinsburg. Visit tcca.life/information.
Insurance companies like to play games. They say they're on your side, but they aren't. We have a team that can handle any curveball they throw. At Burke, Schultz, Harmon, and Jenkinson, you get a dedicated lawyer, and every case gets a team effort. So you get nearly 150 combined years of experience going to bat for you. And we like to win. Join the team that takes your personal injury case seriously. Burke, Schultz, Harmon, and Jenkinson. We play hardball.
Hey, it's Cody from Cody's Auto Body.
You're a potty mouth.
But we do a really great job fixing cars after an accident.
I know, but you're still a potty mouth.
I'm possibly the best friend you could ever have.
You are, but potty mouth.
If you need your car repaired, come to Cody's Auto Body, located at 851 Wilson Street in Martinsburg. Because that's Cody's with a T for f***ing trust.
See? Potty mouth.
Leave me alone.
I like the layout of the course very much. I think it challenges the low handicappers and is very playable for the mid and high handicappers.
All different levels can play on this course.
I think it challenges you from the get-go.
And the first tee program here is one of the best, if second to none. It is the best in the state of West Virginia.
The men have a league, the women have a league, the kids have things going on. Like, it really is kind of the whole package here at Locust Hill. Everybody's very welcoming.
Love the folks here that play golf, but a lot of great relationships and friendships with people here.
You know, sometimes you can only judge a course by their members. We have a great core membership here.
I was able to build some fantastic relationships here, and that's why I've been here for 30 years. When you join any club, you're joining to play golf, but you're really paying for the experience. And the experience here at Locust I found to always be a good time and a fun affair.
To schedule a tee time, become a member, or see upcoming events, visit www.locusthillgolfcourse.com or call us today at 304-728-7300.
WVU Medicine is pleased to have physical medicine and rehabilitation, neurosurgery, and neurology all in one place at the WVU Rockefeller Neuroscience Institute Martinsburg Clinics, located in a custom-designed suite on the 3rd floor of the WVU Medicine Spring Mills Medical Office Building at 61 Campus Drive. We look forward to welcoming patients at this larger location in Spring Mills. For more information about the WVU Rockefeller Neuroscience Institute Martinsburg Clinics, call 304-596-5038.
Little League Baseball is back on Talk Radio WRNR and TV10.
The 0-2 pitch. Caught strike 3, Martinsburg. Wins 1-0. Liam Coe gets the no-hitter and sends the All-Star team from Martinsburg to the state tournament.
Join us for the area and district tournaments. The area tournament will take place June 20th through the 24th, and the district tournament is July 2nd and 3rd on your Eastern Panhandle sports leader, Talk Radio WRNR and TV10.
This segment this morning provided in part by WVU Medicine, Berkeley Medical Center, Jefferson Medical Center, also by Otacare attorney Danny Staggers in Martinsburg at 304-267-3915, and by Larry DeMarco and company at Century 21 Modern Realty Results. David Valente is standing by on the telephone. David, stay with us, baby. Appreciate you doing it.
There now.
Is it difficult to do the phone gig for an hour and a half on this show?
I mean, other having a phone up to my ear pretty much the entire time. That's the only difficult part. I do like being in the studio though, but I do realize that I have a face for phone interviews. So
it just comes down to the number of mics that are available in studio.
Yeah,
really,
sure.
is what it comes down to. That's what we tell you, phone people, anyway. In Ferretti's case is in Georgia, but in your case, you're local. Yeah. Also, Mr. Gilstrap is here, Mr. Carl, and with issue number 4. Oh, I skipped the Admiral. Sorry, Admiral.
Good morning again, Rob.
Mr. Doyle.
Okay. My topic was assigned to me last week at the end of the show.
By the gracious host?
By the boss.
And none of us could remember what it was.
Yeah, no. And it was a discussion that you and I, Bill, you and I and Mike Carl had about which administration would be better for national defense or has been better for national defense. The last 4 years of the Biden administration or the previous 4 years of the Trump administration. And I think overall the Biden administration has been better for a number of reasons. Now, in terms of the defense budget, I think neither one of them has come up with as much money as we need for the defense budget. Now, before I get any longer, I do think we need to make some changes in the defense budget. And I think a lot of people in the Pentagon are saying this, that there are some of these legacy systems that we need to think about getting away from. And there are new developments on the battlefield, particularly in Ukraine, which have caused people to say, some of these older things that we have, either they may not work as well anymore or they may work differently than we thought they were going to. So anyway, all of that's there. I still think we need a bigger defense budget, and I don't think either Trump or Biden has proposed enough for that. But the reason I think that Biden is better is I think the military itself is more comfortable with Biden as president than they were with Trump, because I think they regard Biden as more predictable. And Trump is more interested in military for show, and for a couple of things. One, Biden has proposed, and I think they've gotten it through, the biggest salary increase for non-commissioned officers in many years. And finally, this is a really interesting statistic. There's been some polling done of active duty military and reservists, the active duty military and those reservists who are on active duty. For the first time since we had the volunteer armed forces, a majority, by something like 8 or 9%, says they'll vote for Biden over Trump. This is one of the strongest groups of support that Biden has, is active duty military people. So I throw this open for the panel.
All right, I've got 2 veterans on the panel besides Mr. Doyle. Mr. Carl, I'll start with you.
Thank you for recognizing my military service.
Thank you for your service.
Where'd you serve, Mike?
at the White House as a clerk.
And nobody attacked it while you were there.
Well,
and he had great influence. He really did.
Well, but I was around that enough, and I have tremendous respect for the importance of the mission of the U.S. military. But I also have enough exposure to the system that it's just another wasteful, bureaucratic U.S. government agency. Their mission is very important, but the way they operate generally is no better than the civilian bureaucracies, and so that's why I think Trump in his use of the military in his 4 years compared to Biden's use of the military in his 3.5+ years Trump was far better leader, of the military than Biden has been.
Mr. Stubblefield.
Yeah, your question or John's question is an awful difficult question to get an objective answer to. The poll you mentioned about the military voting for Biden, I know that was true in 2020. I don't know if there's been an updated poll or not. I've not been able to find that. And the point that you made about the amount of money going in the military, I agree. The military, compared to historical times, were woefully underfunded. In the early 1970s, for example, nearly 9% of our GNP went to the military. Today, 2.7%, and that's only slightly below what we had with Trump. So I'm using this kind of a financial as an argument, and whether you can make the direct correlation between dollars and the benefit to the military is difficult to make. There's utilization, which is even more difficult to determine. But as far as dollars going to the military, Trump has, or Biden has put more dollars in the military in the more recent budgets than what Trump did.
That includes payroll, Bill?
It goes in several different things. Salaries is part of it. Research is a big part. Operational components, contractual for logistics support. So there's 4, 5, or 6 different categories. Actually, the salaries is probably one of the smallest amount. Logistics is probably the largest amount, and research is a sizable amount as well. So,
Mr. Gilstrap.
Perception is reality, and excuse me, the military is here to protect the United States, right, and project power and to protect our shores. The Biden administration projects, to my eye, projects nothing but weakness, and last night's debate just shows it. It's confused, it's disjointed. We look at the withdrawal from Afghanistan that came too early. It came without warning. It left billions and billions of dollars worth of materiel, a world-class airport behind, left the 13 service people dead, left hundreds of collaborators behind. It took forever to get them back. We have the wars in Ukraine that I do believe war in Ukraine would not have happened had we projected more strength. Ditto Gaza, the attacks of the Houthis on the shipping lanes in the Middle East. The Biden administration is projecting nothing but weakness to the world, and this comes at a time that we are 20 years behind in maintenance on our fleets. We do not have the backup manufacturing capability that we used to have for our munitions. A lot of what we do, the actual things that go boom, are manufactured here in the United States, but a lot of the electronic stuff that controls the things that go boom are manufactured actually by our potential enemies overseas. We're kind of in a crazy place right now. So who would do it best? Nobody's done it well in quite some time. But if it's a binary choice, I go with Trump.
Could I respond very quickly? Another element of this that we have not talked about are alliances. And the Biden has done a much better job of getting global alliances than what Trump did.
Mr. Valente.
Yeah, I mean, we could have a larger discussion about defense budgets and how wasteful they are in, one, having obsolete systems that are, advocated for by home state representatives and senators to maintain just as a jobs program for their districts, with the trillions of dollars missing from previous Pentagon budgets that no one seems to know where they've gone. And, there is, I think there's a case to be made that there does need to be like a firm, full audit of what's going on with the Pentagon to say, where is this money going or where did it go? There's still lots of questions about where all the money's going when it comes to the Pentagon. As far as the alliances with with NATO, I do think Biden is stronger with our allies than Trump was, and I am thankful that he is standing up to Russian aggression in Ukraine. I have my theories about how and why October 7th happened. I think that was a Russian operation to draw an interest and American interest off of Ukraine. But as far as the defense, who does it better? I think John hits it that no one does it really well. But I think it probably come at it from a different perspective in that we waste way too much money in our defense budgets as is, and if we had a full reckoning of what's going on with the Pentagon and how our money is spent, that we could actually allocate our resources to be much more effective in the defense of our country.
Back to you, Mr. Doyle.
Yeah, I was, when I posed the question, I was trying to keep it to defense. Since Mr. Gilstrap decided to expand it to foreign policy, I'll weigh in on that, too. Afghanistan was a disaster, that's true. But I think, generally speaking, the way that Biden has conducted himself, we are more respected in the world now than we were when Trump was. And it's primarily because Biden is sticking by NATO, and Trump wanted to kill it.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Go ahead, John. Explain why you say he didn't.
It's this idea of America first, which I remember it now. I wasn't here in the 1930s when the word America first was first expounded by Father Coughlin. But I see the strain of foreign policy that Trump is advocating as simply a regurgitation of that line, in that we're in it for ourselves. We are so powerful that we do not need alliances. And therefore, if someone wants to be our ally, that person will take orders from us. There's no negotiation as a true ally. It's like, you take orders from us and you get on our side, and if not, we don't need you. I think that was a big fight in the Republican Party in 1952 when Dwight D. Eisenhower got the nomination from Bob Taft. Bob Taft was an advocate of America first. And Eisenhower said, no, we have got to have our alliances. And Ronald Reagan carried that on. I think the presidency of Donald Trump was a reappearance of America first, and that we're the only allies we need are those who will kowtow to us.
By the way, for those of you who wish to question Mr. Doyle's bona fides for talking about defense, dude picked up a rifle and led a troop in Vietnam.
That's right. I did.
Just saying.
And I'm just happy to be here.
Mr. Carl with issue number 5.
Let me go back to Trump's situation. The question that I'm raising is, would a lighter sentence in the New York criminal case, even with no jail time, what effect would that have on his prospects for appeal? Because the appellate courts, all the way to the Supreme Court, they don't talk about it, but they have to consider the political implications of what how they address these this appeal, and my thought is that the judge, the trial judge, may give him a no time to be served sentence to mitigate the likelihood of reversal.
Mr. Valente, I go to you first on the phone.
Well, he's going to file the appeal. He doesn't take losses lightly or well, and so he will file the appeal. I don't know that the courts, if the courts are amenable to the appeal, I do think that because of the high profile of this case, they may take some remedied actions on what the conviction, and whether to overturn it or grant a new trial of some sort. But this is going to be appealed, and Trump's going to fight this as far as he can. It'll be interesting to see what actions, if he is elected president in November, what actions he will take afterwards to pressure the state of New York, which, then brings another legal issues. But I think that Trump will definitely fight this, and I think a court will consider, even with a light sentence, just because of the high-profile nature of this.
Mr. Stubblefield.
Yeah, Mike, you're in much better position to judge this than I am, but it's my understanding that appeals are based upon substance or irregularities with the jurisdiction of the state it's in, and political considerations are not part of the process. And again, you're close to it than I am. Also, a point that David made that I find interesting: if Trump should be elected president, or if he is elected president, on some of these jurisdictions, he can in fact pardon himself or dismiss it. But I think in case of a New York trial such as this, he cannot do it.
So. Mr. Gilstrap.
As I understand it, there are so many irregularities. There are a lot of appealable issues in this that it will be appealed one way or the other. I think politically, the smart move is for Governor Hochul to pardon him, on the likelihood that it will be appealed anyway. It takes it off the table politically. It takes away a lot of his arguing points. I think that's a smart thing for her to do.
I think it would have been a good idea for President Biden to have pardoned him.
Yeah.
Early on in the process. It had taken that whole angle away as well.
It leaves a conviction on the record, but the effect of it is
But
that's a good point.
But Biden could not pardon him, could he not? Because it's New York court.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about specifically with all the federal stuff.
All the federal, okay.
Yeah, you're right about the New York court. I think we've had that discussion before.
And also Georgia.
Yeah, Mr. Doyle.
He's not going to jail. I am confident that the judge will say something like, even if in a situation like this the defendant should go to jail, because of the logistics, given the Secret Service and all that kind of stuff, it's simply not going to work. So he's not going to jail. I think that the judge will not. I do not think it will affect the appeal. Now, in terms of Governor Hochul of New York, it would be political suicide for her to pardon Trump.
Even better.
Twofer. Two good things come out of that.
Mr. Carla, comes back to you.
Well, I think the important thing to remember is that the time to appeal isn't triggered until the sentencing, and that is on the 11th of July. So,
which is not that far from now.
That's right. So we're going to know how this plays out very soon.
Yeah, that's 13 days away.
Yeah.
Right. Although, it'd be really great if he were sentenced to like community service, 50 hours of painting, whatever. What a great campaign opportunity, right? Go out and be serving steaks and stuff. We have the barbecues going out.
Trump
in New York.
steaks.
Yeah.
Burnt with ketchup.
I'm not going to interrupt him because he's on a roll here. Go ahead. Yeah. Hey, we've got 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes or so here, and I want to get your predictions here as you look forward now to September 10, and there's another debate on September 10. Who's the Democrat in that debate at the podium that day, John Doyle?
I need to wait for at least...
No, you got to make a prediction. Right now, you have to make a prediction.
No, I don't.
You do, because the gracious host...
He said you did.
Time's running out.
The gracious host says you have to make a prediction.
But you can fire me if you want, but I'm going to wait about a week to see what happens in the polls.
So not Biden, then, is what you're saying?
It might not be.
All right, I'm assigning your answer to not Biden at the podium. Mike Carl?
Biden, because they don't have anybody else.
Biden will be at the podium.
Yes.
All right. Bill?
There'll be no debate.
Oh, you're going completely off the table?
Yeah, because I think there's going to be so much dynamics. There's going to be such a move to correct last night's performance. Biden will not be the candidate or be stepping down. I don't think there'll be a debate.
So you're flat out saying no Biden candidacy going forward.
I think that's going to be the case. Now Sam's going to disagree with me, but
Sam Petzo.
Yeah.
Sam's been pretty active in the comments.
He's
been taking fire from all sides too, by the way. Go ahead, Mr. Gilstrap.
It'll be Biden.
It will be Biden?
I don't think he's stepping down. I think he's too proud to do it.
David Valente?
It will not be Biden. It will be a Democratic governor of some sort.
But that's only if they've decided that he's going to be the candidate. I don't think they'll have a candidate determined by that time.
Oh no, they'll have it by the convention. You can't go past the convention and
that's August
and not have a candidate. That would be political suicide.
Okay, they will have had the convention by that time. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that.
I'm going to revise my answer. I agree with Bill Stubblefield, and I did before I answered. There isn't going to be a September 10th debate. I'm convinced of that.
Then that's declaring defeat.
Yeah, that's bad news.
No, I think what will happen is
reschedule.
Trump will say no debate because I think he figures he's won this one big. Why take a chance?
So he pulls out.
Yes, Trump will pull out.
No. Not if it's Biden, absolutely not. No, he'll just go.
John and I are saying it will not be Biden.
Okay.
Yeah, we assigned you to a not Biden answer because you chickened out. You coward. Final thoughts are coming up. You get 8 seconds apiece. Make them cogent, and don't make some comment about Medicare that doesn't make any sense. The final comments are brought to you by CMA. Honda, also by Eldercare attorney Danny Staggers, and by L.A. Roberts Jewelers. Do you have someone in a nursing home, or are you worried about somebody you love going into a nursing home? The law firm of Daniel Staggers can protect your assets. Call the law firm of Daniel Staggers today at 304-267-3915. The Daniel Staggers Law Firm does elder care law, estate planning, and special needs trusts for disabled children and family members. Visit the Daniel Staggers Law Firm for your initial free consultation at 133 East John Street in Martinsburg. The Daniel Staggers Law Firm, when you need asset protection for you or for a family member.
Hi, Crescia Hornby here. Larry DeMarco, broker of Modern Realty Results, believes he has some of the best real estate agents in the Eastern Panhandle. Agents at Modern Realty Results have years of experience and knowledge of the local real estate market. Agents within the office work as a team to provide quality customer service. We strive to always ensure client satisfaction through handling every transaction with honesty and integrity, all while offering competitive rates. Modern Realty Results is veteran-owned and managed. Please call us at 262-4222, modernrealtyresults.com.
CMA's Toyota of Martinsburg has over 100 new vehicles in stock and on the way. We've got a great selection of your favorite models, like the new 2024 Tacoma. Towing your boat or camper? Check out a new 2024 Tundra and get up to $5,500 off MSRP. Need better gas mileage? Check out the iForce Max Tundra and save up to $7,000 off MSRP. And every new Toyota comes with Toyota Care and our lifetime powertrain warranty. Visit us online at CMA's where owners just care more.
Berkeley Post 14 baseball is back. Myers with the pitch, swung on and missed. Jason Myers gets the last out, and the Berkeley Post 14 Hornets are the state champions of American Legion Baseball in West Virginia. From the regular season through the postseason, don't miss out on all the action as the Hornets defend their state title at P.O. Faulkner Park. The home of Berkeley Post 14 Hornets baseball is right here on Talk Radio WRNR and TV 10.
We've got final thoughts, 8 seconds apiece. We start with David Valente.
Hey, my favorite stat of the week is that American team has won a Canadian football championship, the Grey Cup, more recently than a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup. Congrats to the Florida Panthers on their win.
I like that, Mr. Gilstrap.
It's going to be very hot this weekend. Stay hydrated.
Thank you, Bob Kukin, Mr. Stubblefield.
Yeah, let's not forget while we celebrate the 4th of July.
Mr. Carl.
The Cards lost last night. They had the best record in the National League since mid-May.
Mr. Doyle.
Yes, let's not forget the 4th and Shepherdstown Street Fest this Saturday.
And we are still on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, July 1, 2, and 3 next week. Dave Ramsey Show is next. This is Talk Radio, WRNR Martinsburg and TV 10, and we'll talk to you again at 70 short hours.
5 o'clock.